Hi, Sarah. It's nice to finally get to meet you. My name's Annabelle. I'm just going to go through with you a few aspects of confidentiality to make sure you're okay with it. It's essential, it's not absolute, meaning that there's cases where I could breach confidentiality. One being if you are harm to yourself or others, another being if you need to be hospitalized, if the information isn't made an issue in court, if you request a release of record, or if you become ill and I need to contact a relative or friends in order because you're incapacitated and unable to give consent. Okay, so Sarah, what has brought you here today?
So I recently found out that I'm pregnant, and I'm kind of going through it alone. Like, I'm not alone. There's people around me, but I'm not really at a point where I feel comfortable in telling them. And because of that, there's been a lot of anxiety and stress that's been just kind of overwhelming at times. And I wasn't sure what to do. So
When did you find out you were pregnant?
about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. And how has it been, like your stress levels since then? Like, has it been getting worse, or is it just maintaining the same?
So on the first day, it was like really, really bad, just like with the shock of it all, I guess. And just like kind of like that was when it got real. And then in the first few days, it decreased a little bit. I guess just by like forceful efforts to try and kind of calm myself down and like talk myself out of the stress that I was like causing myself. But as of recently and the last week and a half, it's really just been unbearable, like making me feel sick to my stomach, like some days feeling like I can't continue with like just my daily activities and my normal routine, and it's just become like overbearing to the point like I really didn't know what to do.
You spoke about it interfering with your daily activities. What activities would you say it interferes with?
It like to get up and go to school, like it really like it just doesn't seem like a viable thing to be doing some days. Like I wake up and I like really just can't pull myself out of bed to sit through a lecture. And that's like one of the biggest struggles, I'd say. I mean, work as well has been hard, but like really like missing days of classes it's just like starting to pile up.
In the moments that you're experiencing all the stress and anxiety, what are you thinking about?
I think it's just like a lot of like uncertainty and fear of the future, like in a sense of the fear of like what can happen with the pregnancy, and just like I don't know, I don't know what to do to make this all go well and go smoothly. And then with that, like my relationship and my relationship with my mom, it's just there's just a lot of uncertainty, and because of it, I just get like so overwhelmed.
Have you spoke to anybody about it? Have you seeked like helping somebody else?
Not yet. I don't really feel like I'm at a place to disclose what's going on. I'm not too sure why I don't feel comfortable. Like I guess there's a lot of reasons, but I haven't like gone to my partner about it yet, and I live with my mom and I haven't told her about it yet either. Yeah, it's really just been me kind of just like trying to deal with it and come to terms with it before sharing it with anybody else.
Okay. What's stopping you from telling your mom and your partner?
With my mom, I don't want her to like look at me differently because of it. I realize like though it wasn't planned, like I just don't want it to be like, oh, she made a mistake and now she's like throwing her life away, because like my mom's a single mom and she had like a really hard time with it. Like my dad and her were young when they found out what was going on, and he left her on her own to deal with it because he like knew he was like too young and he wasn't ready for the responsibility, but she had no other choice. And she like often, like while I was growing up, talked about how it was like really hard, and she made so many sacrifices and like not going to school and just like kind of like a lot of negatives about it. And I think because of that, I like fear for what she's gonna, how she's gonna react and what she's gonna think of me if I come to her and tell her like my situation.
Are you afraid of her reaction, or are you afraid of it actually, happening? Like being stuck in the same situation?
I think both, because like her reaction, if she reacts poorly and decides that like I can't live there no like any longer because of it, then I'm gonna be stuck in that same situation that she was in, right? Like I'm truly gonna feel like on my own. Like I really don't think I have it in me to be able to like provide for myself and a baby. And it's not that my partner's out of the picture, but with that being a potential, especially because he still doesn't know, I've really been thinking about like just me and the baby in this moment, and like kind of considering like if he's not around, like am I going to be able to do this? And if she doesn't let me live there anymore and she reacts poorly, then her life is exactly like what I'm going to be living out.
So it sounds like one of your greatest fears is actually going through the pregnancy alone and not having support from either your partner or your mom.
Yeah, I'd say that's completely accurate. I think that's kind of why I've like avoided talking about it this long, because it's almost like, okay, well, if I can like figure out a plan on my own, then at least like I'm going to be set. Like it doesn't matter what anybody says, like I'm going to be set. But like at the same time, of course, like they need to know, because like, I mean, I know there's potential that like I'm going to have a support system. Like there's no reason that I should think like poorly of my mom or my partner in this situation as of right now. But there's just like, yeah, there's like, it's almost like there's so much riding on it that it's like scary to like kind of confide in somebody when you don't know how they're going to react right away.
Yeah. Have you considered telling your partner?
Yes, because like, yeah, like I know I have to, like it's his kid as well, but I just like, it's just the uncertainty of like what would come. Like we've never really talked about pregnancy even being like a thing, and that's like already like when I thought about that, when I found out, I was like, it shows like we're not there yet, both of us. Like we're just not at that level in our life, that stage in our life where we feel like responsible enough, to the point like we literally completely avoided it like being a possibility. And I think because of that, like it makes me even more nervous, because I don't know what he would say. And that realm of unknown, it's scary.
Yeah. Now, if you stop and think about that, actually telling your partner, from what you know about him, from how long you guys have been together, what do you think would actually be his reaction? Since you guys have, you already know how he is, how do you think he'd react to it?
So at first, I think in those like first few days where I was like kind of at a lower level of stress and like kind of helping myself like kind of get my head out of the situation almost, I thought it would be okay, because he's he's a great person. He's like super supportive in anything I do, and he's like hardworking, like very motivated. Like I don't see this being like something to totally like end our relationship and him just like being like ready to be out of it. But I think it was like the more my anxiety built on it, then the more I started like worrying how it would be for him, the more he thought about it almost, because as the days go on, the more nervous I get about it, and like the more I realize I'm unprepared, and I just like maybe he'll feel the same way, and like he'll get to a point where like it's just not something he'd be able to deal with.
So do you think the fear of the reactions and the fear of you feeling like you're not ready to have a child, do you think that's what's causing you like your stress? Like that's the main root of your stress?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just, yeah, that fear that's become like overwhelming, and like incapacitating, like I said, like to the point where I'm like just in bed for days, and I still even like staying in bed. It's like, oh, this is what feels like best to do, and even still, those days are like bad days because like you can't escape like the thoughts in your head, you know.
Now, if you imagine yourself, like, let's say, a year from now, what do you imagine happening? Like, what do you think your situation would be in that moment?
I, in like my heart, I really hope my mom would like accept what's going on with me, and because she knows how hard it's gonna be if she leaves me out on my own. So like when I think about it, I really want to think like in the best way possible. Like, you know, my partner's gonna be right there with us, and we'll still be living with my mom, and I'm gonna have like a happy, healthy baby, and like there's gonna be no reason to have had all this anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's just it, you know, like it's the anxiety talking that makes me like pull away from like seeking support, and like truly hoping that like it's gonna go as well as it most likely will be, because you know like I have a good family around me, like they're good people, but it's just like that fear, that like overwhelming fear that makes me stress, like that maybe I should just try and do it on my own.
In the past, that you've been stressed or you've had anxiety, what has helped you, like, cope with it?
I think just like, you know, a big thing was just like the fact that I'm very much a routine person. So like going to school and getting my stuff done, like it was always like a really good way of kind of like organizing like my priorities. And then once the priorities were set there, like it kind of decreases the anxiety, because then you're like able to deal with what has to be dealt with in that moment, you know? Where now like it's literally gotten to a point where like I can't deal with anything. Like I don't wanna look into like supports, and I don't wanna look into all the type of doctors I need to see and booking those appointments. Like I can't bring myself to doing it, but these are things like I have to be doing. And it's just that's like where I kind of found myself like maybe needing counseling, because like I hope like maybe we can set like some sort of goal plan where it'll like get me motivated to start like looking into the supports that I need.
Done.
Yeah, I
You
felt
better-
like we went over, but I just like wasn't sure.
Yeah, because we will. Okay. Record.